It's the morning weather briefing. This is for Monday, the 5th of August. This is James Spann. Debby making landfall early this morning on the Big Bend region of Florida. And this is going to stay far, far east of Alabama. And this thing is coming in really eastward of the track we showed you last night, down to the south and east of that track. It's kind of taking a jog to the right. And again, you can see the center is basically onshore as we speak near Steinhatchee, Florida. And again, as you look at this, remember the big effect will be north and east of the circulation center, and that's really good news for our friends in, say, St. George Island and Cape San Blas. You're going to be just fine. This is St. George Island here. This is Cape San Blas right here. Indian Pass is right here. There's Apalachicola. And again, based on the way this thing is jogged to the east, you're not going to see much rain at all. It'll be a little breezy out of the north today with an offshore flow, but again, great news there. And of course, as expected, no problems for Panama City Beach and points west all the way over to the Alabama Gulf Coast. The big issues here are obviously going to be over areas well to the east. It's just pouring rain there. With a number of flash flood warnings in effect for places like Gainesville, up Interstate 75 toward Lake City. Jacksonville is going to see a lot of rain from this. And, of course, the great concern is this thing slowing down over Georgia and around the coast of South Carolina. We're going to show you the track and much more about the impacts of this hurricane as we go along. But, again, based on the latest numbers coming from the National Hurricane Center, they're still describing Debby with winds of 80 miles per hour. So this will be a Category 1 at the time of landfall. But again, much more on Debby in a second, so hang tight. Let's go to the big picture. This tells a story. This is the upper air look across the country. And again, we've got ridging all across the deep south, but there's a little trough that's been passing to the north, and that's beat down the ridge, allowing that northeastward turn. There's a look at the radar composite. And again, with that little eastward jog, even if you're in southeast Alabama, Dothan, Ozark, Geneva, I don't think you see much rain, if any, at all from this thing. This will be far east of you. We are generally in the 70s to start the day. We're expecting highs mostly in the mid-90s. It'll be pretty hot this week. There's a look at the watch warning map around the nation. Of course, most of the issues involve the tropical system over parts of North Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina, with tropical storm warnings and flash flood watches in effect there. And again, like yesterday, the chance of a few isolated tornadoes on the east side of Debby. Places like Jacksonville, Savannah, and Charleston with a risk of isolated tornadoes through tonight. Tomorrow, just a little tiny marginal risk with Debby around Savannah and Charleston. We note a marginal risk to the north from near Indianapolis over to New York City. That's with a front. And a couple of risks out west. And then on day 3, which is Wednesday, again, a small marginal risk on the coast of the Carolinas, and that's with Debby, that's just meandering about, and a marginal risk over the western high plains. But obviously with Debby, rain is the big story. And again, for Alabama, I just don't think we see this much. I think you can pretty much say nothing for most of the state for the next 7 days. It is a very dry pattern here. And I know there's one outlier. The GFS tries to bring it back westward. And I think that's the reason WPC has some rain indicated here. But we kind of reject that GFS retrogression solution and support the European model, which carries it far northeast of here. So I just don't think it rains that much. And obviously, the big problem is over here. Eastern Georgia, eastern South and North Carolina, where they could see just some big-time flooding problems. So as we look at the tropics, first off, let's look at what's happening elsewhere, away from Debby. There's a little wave with hardly any convection that's coming into the Windward Islands this morning. Hurricane Center giving this a 10% chance of developing over the next 2 days and a 30% chance of developing over the next 7 days. And if this develops, and it's going to be encountering dry air and some issues, but if it develops, it's headed toward the Yucatan, the Bay of Campeche, and probably into Mexico. This will likely stay far to the south, but again, it's just something to watch. But other than that, one little wave that's near the Windward Islands, the Atlantic Basin, very calm on this 5th of August. Of course, other than Debby and that wave. So here's a look at Debby. And thankfully, this thing did not really classically rapidly intensify. It ramped up pretty quick, but again, we'll have to look at the numbers once we get this thing inland. But still, it came up to a minimal hurricane. Sustained winds, based on the latest advisory here from the Hurricane Center, are at 80, and that might be a little generous. Again, we're looking at all the products coming in from the Hurricane Center, but you can see it's tried to get it centered together. That's the infrared loop overnight. Here's a look at the updated track from the Hurricane Center, and again, it's pretty much at landfall as we speak near Steinhatchee, and this will be coming up into South Georgia, moving northeast as a tropical storm, very slowly. I mean, really slowly. In fact, Tuesday afternoon, it's near Savannah. It's going to take that long to get over there. What's going to happen? The trough is lifting out, and the steering currents become very weak, and that's the reason for this erratic movement. Drifts back into the Atlantic, then comes back up toward Charleston. Friday, at the end of the week, understand this thing's going to be hanging around all week long. And then by Friday night, it starts to move north, and it should be over central North Carolina. And, of course, the main concern, it's going to be the rain with this thing. And, again, there's some potential. And it's kind of iffy because of the erratic track of this thing, you know, whether it jogs inland, or stays out in the Atlantic. But there's potential for over a foot of rain here. And maybe in some spots, maybe close to 2 feet of rain. Savannah, Hilton Head, Charleston, up toward Myrtle Beach. And again, hopefully the numbers will come down, and they might. But again, folks that live there just have to be ready for a pretty significant flood event. In terms of the surge that's going on right now, 6 to 10 feet on the Big Bend of Florida. And in terms of the wind, these are 10-meter wind gusts, the accumulated 10-meter wind gusts for the entire event. Not exactly at the surface, so you need to take the numbers down a little bit, but obviously it's going to be pretty windy in the path of this. North Florida into parts of eastern Georgia. They could see winds gusting to 50, 60 miles an hour, and that could be enough to bring down some trees and power lines. But again, we stress that the big deal, it's going to be the rain over here. And you never want to see brown on those WPC maps like that. So let's go through modeling. Model fans, this is the GFS, the 06Z run. This is valid today at 4. And again, you can see that Debby is inland. Center should be on the Georgia-Florida line. And again, if you're in Dothan, you might see a shower today, but the better chance of rain based on this really eastward adjustment this morning should be east of the state. We'll take a look at the high-resolution HER model, valid this evening at 6 o'clock. And again, you can see there could be a few spotty showers over southeast Alabama, but probably not many. The rest of the state dry. Alabama will experience highs mostly in the mid-90s today. Tomorrow, as we go through the week, Alabama's going to be dry as we're on the north flow backside of the system. Debby is near Savannah. This is Wednesday. Debby drifts out into the Atlantic. Alabama's still dry. Now, Thursday, here's the deal with the GFS. It wants to drift it back to the west. And then Friday, it's got the thing centered somewhere around Augusta. And then it backs the thing in here for the weekend with a chance of rain on Saturday. But let me show you the European on Saturday. It's got the thing off the Jersey shore, off the coast of New Jersey, moving northeast. And that's the solution we're using in our forecast. And again, you can see Alabama dry. So again, the GFS still with this concept of bringing the thing westward with a chance of rain, but the European says, nah, not so fast on that idea. And again, I think that's the right idea. We'll stick with the European. This is Sunday. We're still dry. This is a week from today. This is Monday, August 12th. Got broad troughing over the eastern states that's taken Debby out. And again, we're dry. I really think for most of Alabama, no rain for the next 7 days, which is pretty remarkable. This time of the year, we almost always have afternoon and evening storms popping up. But in this pattern, no. So we're very thankful for the big rains we received here last month. Remember, we had that stretch of 10 days, all the rain. We stayed under 90. That's a really good thing as we get into a dry-looking August here. Let's go out 10 days. This is Wednesday, August 15th. Troughing on the East Coast. And once again, we're just dry. In fact, check this out. This is the rain for Birmingham. This is coming off the European, which is the model we believe in for this situation. Just really nothing for the next 7 to 10 days. Then maybe a little bit out there toward August 20th. This is valid through the 20th. But the mean, the green line, is under 1 inch. And that's just not much at all. And August can be a very dry month. And temperatures will peak on Wednesday in terms of the heat. Again, this is for Birmingham. Your number could vary. But we've got 97 Wednesday. But then the numbers come down. Look at Sunday this weekend. 88. Maybe 60s by Monday morning of next week as a drier air mass drops in on the backside of a trough. And then mostly low 90s next week. So it'll be hot. But, hey, we all know it can be a lot worse this time of the year. So one more time. I was checking to see if I've got the latest 8 to 14 day in here, and this is actually one issued back on, this was issued on Saturday. So I tell you what, let's just try and see if we can drop the new one in here really quickly. I don't think it's going to look much different. But this will be the 8 to 14 day issued yesterday. So this is issued August 4th. And again, temperatures could be a little above average. So let's go back and take a look at Debby. If you're just joining us here, we're live at 5:25, Monday, August 5th. The system is making landfall. And again, this it's kind of got an elongated eye. It never really got its act truly together. I know it's a hurricane, but it's a minimal hurricane. Winds, based on the latest update from the National Hurricane Center, at 80 miles per hour. And it's coming in down there on the Florida Big Bend, far, far southeast of Tallahassee. And we'll kind of expand this out a little bit. And again, you can see that, Tallahassee's doing fine here. They've got some rain and it's breezy, but the big rains are a bit east of Tallahassee, along Interstate 10 over to Jacksonville. A lot of rain for Interstate 75, Ocala, Gainesville, up to Lake City and Valdosta. But again, we stress for a lot of places people ask about, things are just fine. And again, this is St. George Island right here. This is Cape San Blas right here. This is Indian Pass. There's Mexico Beach, Tyndall Air Force Base, Panama City Beach. Fine. Offshore flow, no problem at all. So again, I can't believe it. There's still some fear mongers out there on some of these social platforms screaming, major Category 5 hurricane coming for Panama City, which of course it's obviously insanity. And there's an ocean of insanity out there. So that's why we were thankful for people that take the time to watch these videos and stick with credible sources for situations like this. So that's the situation there. So let's see what's going to happen. Today, I'm going to be in Alabaster. I'm going to be speaking to all of the employees and the teachers with the Alabaster City school system. I love doing those institute-type meetings where they're getting set for school. School starts this week, which is kind of crazy, but boy, the summer went by fast. But I look forward to seeing them. Teachers need a good word of encouragement. Let's see here. Going to be up in Aniana Thursday. Speak to a senior adult group there. And this Saturday, we have a book signing in Utah. What I'm going to do Saturday, hey, listen, if you're in Greene County, listen up. I want you to come see me. I'm going to do a severe weather safety type program at 9, and after that, we'll do the book signing, which will be about 9:30 or so. We'll be there for a couple of hours in Utah. We'll post details up on the social platforms once we get the hurricane kind of out of here. But, of course, Weather Brains, our weekly show for weather dweebs, geeks, nerds, dorks, and weenies. Tonight, back on Monday night, we'll be live at 7 o'clock Central on the Weather Brains YouTube channel. We'll talk about Debby, modeling, and all these things with Dr. Jacobs and the crew. YouTube.com/weatherbrains. And we invite you to watch us on the television side. ABC 3340 News at 4, 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Have a great Monday, and God bless.